So I sent you in the announcement what games we'll be making. Is the one where you throw swords at the target in the middle. And the idea is you cannot touch the swords with the swords. Um, we'll do it in the same resolution as that one, which is, let's see, Android, something like that. Do it something like that. Let's start with a background. Let's make a background. So we need a sprite renderer for that. One sec. We set the transforms. Now we want to repeat a certain texture. So for that we go here in draw mode and go from simple to tiled. Now it will repeat whatever sprite is in there. But first let's place the sprite. Have some textures here. These are pixel art, so we have to go in the import settings and make the filter mode point. That way we see every pixel of it. And now we can add whatever texture we want. I'll use the gray one for now. And later we can make a script that will randomize this texture. So it will be a random texture. Let's go this background. Resize it a little bit so it covers the whole screen. 2020, something like that, or 15. See how it looks. Maybe increase the size. So let's go to scale, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and now we have to make a script that will create the illusion that it is moving. Let's go to scripts, create a mono behavior, call that background. This is very simple. We'll just increase the size using the width and height here. And when it reaches a certain, at some point it may reach a size, and a big size, and give us an error. So we'll have to reset the size at some point. Okay. And please, if you have anything you want to tell me, can tell me at any point. So this will be usually when you start making a game, you have to think what objects need to have a script. But this being a very simple game, you'll have a game manager that will handle most of the stuff. Okay, so for the animation of the background, first we need the sprite renderer component. So we'll make a private sprite renderer. Wait, why is this not working? Right? Okay, it's it. Right. Okay. Now we have to place the component inside the variable in the start at the beginning. So we'll say that is equal get component sprite render. Okay. Now we want to have different animations. We want to have three options. We'll move it horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. So we need two things. We need a public float.
Hi guys.
Who's this? Oh, hello. Hello. Okay, we are at the beginning. We just started.
Okay.
Okay. So right now we're trying to make a background with the animation. So we need a float for the move speed. That's the move speed of the background. Let's see, what else do we need? We need also an integer that will let us know which type of movement it is, because we'll have three modes, like I said, vertical, horizontal, and diagonal movement. And also, let's say public vector 2 default size. So that will be the default size, because like I said, if it reaches a certain size, it gives us an error and it will stop the game from working. So we have to reset it when we reach a certain size to the default size, so the size at the beginning. And in the update we check for what type it is. So if it is let's say move type 0, let's say this is the horizontal one, we increase the size every frame and this will be the horizontal movement, so we'll only increase the width, not the height. So we say sprite render size, and we cannot just change the x. You cannot change just one dimension. You have to change the whole vector 2. So make a new vector 2. And like I said, we want to add to the x only. So we say the x plus our move speed, and we'll also multiply it by time delta time, so that um, the speed will not be frame dependent. Because if we just say plus move speed, then if you have, let's say, 100 frames, it will move fast, and if you have 60 frames a second, it will move slower. So by multiplying with the time difference between frames, it is not dependent of the sprite or on the frames. Okay, so we increase the width, and the height we keep it. So we say on the y, the size y, we maintain it. So that's for movement type 0. Now I'll just copy paste this 2 times and modify it a little bit. So let's say 1, move type 1. We modify only the y. So we'll remove this from the x, add it to the y here. And then for the move type 2, that's diagonal movements. So we add to both x and y. Okay, and then at the end here, we want to check if we reach the limit, which I think it's 50, but let's make sure it's, we'll say 40 just to be sure. So here we check if we reach that. So we say the sprite renderer size x is bigger than 40, or the y is bigger than 40. And in that case, we reset it to the default size. So sprite renderer size equal default size. Okay. And also, let's if you want, we can create some code to randomize the texture. We can do that as well. But first, let's check the movement. Let's see if that works. We'll add the background script to our background object. Give it some speed here. Let's say diagonal movement, so 2, move type 2. And default size, let's say it's 15 times 15. And let's see if it works. Yeah, you see it does work. But I think it's a little bit fast, but which we can change that. Let's make it a little bit slower, 1.5. And now let's create some code to randomize the texture. So for that, we need the textures first. We need an array of the textures. So let's say public, but let me put it below this. Public. Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, so I didn't understand what was default size.
Yes. When we reach, because we're increasing the size of the sprite renderer. At some point we get an error because it is too big. So to fix that, when we reach a certain size here, you see if it's bigger than 40 on the X or on the Y, then we reset it to the default size. So the default size is the starting size, which you can see here in the sprite renderer component. You see it says size width 15 and height 15. So that's what
Yeah.
that is. It will be
Oh,
15,
now I
15.
understand.
Yes. So to randomize the texture, first we need an array of the textures. So we say public sprite, and then we'll call this textures. Sorry, no, just textures. Let's see, or let's just say, I don't know. Should we call it texture or sprite? Let's just keep it texture. So in the start function, let's select a random one and add that to our sprite renderer. So first we need to create a random number between 0 and the length of that array. So let's do that. We say integer, let's say random index equal random range. That's a function that will create a random number. And then from 0 to the length of the texture. So textures length. So now that we have that, we can place that in the sprite renderer. So we say sprite renderer sprite equal textures, and then we select that in a random index that we created. Now we'll always have a random texture. Let's comment the code. Select random text. And I don't know if we can finish the game today, but I'll try to go as fast as possible. So here we have the array. We have to place our sprites here. Let's see how many we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Okay, so let's go here, change that to 7. And we'll add them one by one. And let's see if it is random. Yep, it is random, as you can see. Okay, now let's start creating our elements for the game. In this case, I don't know how the original game is exactly, but we'll have a shield in the middle and then we throw swords at it. So let's do that first. Let's create the shield here. So sprite, let's make a sprite. Place that sprite on top of the background. So background is on 0, let's place it on 1. Change the sprite to some shield here. But not this, without the background. Okay, let's raise it a little bit. And we have, you see that it is blurry. That is because of the import settings. We have to go here and change all of this. All of this to filter mode point. Okay, now it's not blurry anymore. Increase the size even a little bit more. Place that a bit on the top like that. Name it shield. I have two tags here. Two categories. Tags are categories that we can create. So let's make one for the shield and one for the swords. So sword, we have sword and shield. Okay, this one needs a circle collider. Circle collider 2D. We want the circle collider to be slightly smaller than the shield, so that way the sword looks like it's going inside the shield. So we have the radius here. We'll reduce it a little bit. Okay, something maybe bigger. Something like that. Okay, that's the shield. Now let's create a sword. So sprites. This one will be. I think we want this to be below the shield. So let's go to the shield, make that 2 instead of 1, and the sword 1. So that the sword is above the background but below the shield. Let's call that sword. Add a sword sprite. Let's see. I don't know where those are. And we have an issue with this because you see these are not oriented towards. You see the 45 the 45 degrees angle. So let's take all of this first and change the filter mode to point because these are also pixel art. We'll add that to our sword here. When we have a bunch of options here for the sword, try that one. Resize it, and we have to rotate it minus 45 degrees so that it looks to, sorry, not minus, but 45 like that. You see? Let's see how that looks. And sorry for the noise. There's a bit of noise outside. I'm sorry about that. Okay, let's try this one. So now we need the collider on this. And for this, you'll use a I don't know. Let's use a box collider 2D. Now you see we have an issue, and that issue is this collider is rotated because we change the rotation of the transform. This is also rotated. We don't want that. So I think we'll have to use polygon collider or make a child to this. We could do it another way. That is, we create a child on the sword that will have the collider. So let's try that. And excuse me just 1 second, I'll be right back, please. Uh, so we have to create the collider as a child of our sword. So now that we made that, let's add the box collider to this. And now what we can do is rotate it the other way around, minus 45. Okay, so we cancel that rotation. And let's say 0 0.2, 0 0.2. We don't need to make this. Actually, I'm looking at this and we might need a polygon collider. I'm sorry, we need a polygon collider. And this will automatically try to make it cover the whole object, but you have to resize it a little bit. Okay. One second, I'm sorry about this. Something like that. And this one should not have physics. We don't need physics in this game. So let's go here to the trigger and uncheck that. So now it does not have physics. And we can move it two ways. One is we can use the transform translate function, which basically teleports it in a certain direction and a certain amount. But I rather use the rigid body. So let's make a 2D rigid body, make it kinematic, because this means we can only move it by script. We only want this to be moved by script, not interact with anything. But okay, I think we don't need to freeze anything here. So now it's time to create the main code, the game manager. So let's go create a mono behavior, call that game manager. In the original game, you have some UI elements that will let you know where exactly you are in the level, and also will show you how many swords you need to throw. So we have to do that as well. Um, one sec, guys. Takes a while to load the script. Also, on the shield, we have to have a script on that as well that will rotate this. Let's do that as well. I see there's a lot of you guys here. Okay. Okay. This is very simple. We just need to rotate the shield every frame. So let's say here public float, move speed, or rotation speed. Let's remove the stat, we don't need that, and in the update we'll just rotate it, transform, rotate. Now we have to specify an axis, which in 2D we almost always rotate on the z-axis, because if you do it in x and y, you basically rotate it in 3D. So we'll say vector 3 forward, so that's 0, 0, 1. So we rotate it on the z, and then multiply this by rotation speed, and also let's multiply it by time delta time. So that way it is not frame dependent, the rotation. So it always rotates at the same speed regardless of the frame rate. Okay, let's add the shields here, shield script or shield. Give it some speed and let's see if that works first. Yep, it does work, but it's a bit slow. So change that by like 15. Okay, now let's create an empty object in the scene that will hold the game manager. That will be uh, most of the code will be here in the game manager. Step on top. Um, Now I was thinking we can have um, a holder of the source. So let's make an empty object and say, let's call it source holder. Now I think we have to make two modifications. One is let's place this shield a bit more on top like that, and the source slightly smaller. Okay. Okay. Now let's create a bunch of source here in the source folder, and then let's remove, let's disable all of these except the first one. And now we have to, let's create actually every element and then we'll code everything. So we have the source holder. Now we need two or three UI elements. Okay, one is the UI that will let us know how many source we need to throw. So let's make a canvas first. Place that on the top. See, almost always you want to stretch it with the screen size here. In this case, is 180 and on the X and one, so full HD basically. Now let's double click on the canvas to go to the canvas space here in the scene. We need a holder for those sort UIs. So let's make an empty object inside the canvas, so empty. And in the original game is somewhere here to the left. Now need to resize this a little bit. Something like that. We'll call this sort UI holder. Now let's add a vertical layout group, okay? Because we want those to be at equal distance from each other. Now let's create our sort UI. So we'll say image. Now let's add a sort from our source, our sprites here. That doesn't matter which one. And let's make it black by default. Okay, so something like that. Let's see how it looks. Yes, something like that. That's good. But let's try to reposition it a little bit. A little bit. Something like that. Okay. Now we want this to be slightly transparent. Um, let's change the transparency like 0.7, and then um, we have this, and then on top of it we'll have the actual image of the sword. So let's say sword UI. This is sword UI. Let's call it sword UI empty, and then as a children we'll add an image of the same size with the image of the sword. Yep. And this will be sword UI. Let's say full. Now we can duplicate it, but we'll do it by code. When the game starts, what we'll do is we'll count how many swords we have in the scene here, in the sword holder, and then we'll go to this UI holder and add that many swords here, that many UIs. Okay. But first of all, this needs to stretch with the screen size and also be in the same spot always. So we have to place these arrows here. These are called anchors. So if I place these in the corners like that, then this will be in the same position and the same size regardless of the resolution. Okay, now let's take this and save it as a prefab, the UI. So let's create a folder for the UI here. We drag this and drop it in the folder. Now we can remove that. Um, let's do that first in the game manager, okay? Let's open it, and at the beginning we'll create the UIs. So we need a couple of things here. Also, let's say here public int level, the level. Let's say prefabs or UI. Let's say UI first. So we need the transform of, or not the transform, but wait, is that called transform? I don't know. We'll see. Let's say game object for now. Game object. We'll say sort UI folder. And then we need the holder of the swords in the game. So I will say transform. And I say game object because I don't know exactly how to get the transform of that UI. So here we have swords folder. And let's make it public. So you can see it in the inspector and here as well. So at the start we want to create that UI. So let's make a function for that with spawn for UI. It's very simple. We spawn that prefab as a child of the holder for how many children the sword holder has. But we need a prefab. So let's say here public game object sword UI prefab. So here we say for integer 0 to the length of the child count of that sword holder. So sword holder child count. And then we spawn it as a child of the holder. So let's say instantiate and now what do we spawn? We spawn the sword prefab, sword UI prefab to the holder, and I think that should, if I see here transform, that should work here. Okay, and we call this function at the start here. So now we spawn the sort UI depending on how many sorts we have in the game. So let's go to the canvas and add those elements. So we need a UI holder, the sort holder, and the prefab. And this will be level 1. And let's see if that works first. Yes, you see it does work. We have that on the on to the left side. Um, seems to work correctly. Okay. Now we want here to save the current sort. Let me think 1 second. Yes, let's also say here let's have an integer. We'll make it private. We'll say number of sorts, so we know how many sorts we have. So here when we spawn the UIs, let's also save the number of sorts. Let's say number of sorts is equal to the child count of that holder that will hold the sort. So we know how many sorts we have. Now also we need a variable to save the current sort that we're about to draw. So here we have to say private game object uh, current current sort. That's one thing. Now also we need to know when we're throwing a sort, what we want to avoid is we want to avoid throwing another sword while the current sword is going towards the shield. So we have to make a bool here. This is not very organized, but uh, make a bool as control so we can control the controls. Okay? So by default, this will be true. We have controls by default. Now let's make a function here called throw sword. So throw sword. So what we want is first we want to get the rigid body of the from the current sort and then apply the force. But for that we also need a public float throw speed. Let's call it throw speed. So how fast the sword is going. So let's first get the rigid body. So let's say rigid body will be equal current sword get component rigid body 2D. But we get the rigid body. Then we apply the force and strap controls. So let's see here has controls equal force. So start the controls. And now we apply the force. So rigid body velocity y is equal to throw speed. Okay. And then we also say let's see, because we want to decrease one from the number of swords, but let's see when we do that actually, because it matters when we do it. Yeah, we'll do it at the exact moment that the sword hits the shield. So not here, we'll do it from another script. Um, yes, this should work now, but we have to make a script for the sword because we want to on trigger enter to make it a child of the shield and also some other stuff. So let's go to the scripts folder, make a folder for the sword. Also, I'd like to know, let's play the scene. We'll have to play the scene and see how those UIs are added to the folder. I want to know the order in which those are added. So in the sort script here, um, we want to have a public game manager. So we want to connect the game manager to the sort because on collision, we want to go to the game manager and re-enable controls and decrease one from the number of sorts when those hit the shield. So we do that when we spawn. Actually, I'm looking at this and we can actually do it because we have this already in the scene. We can just add the game manager here. Because we also can do it by code, but I'd rather have this already. Have the game manager. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, on trigger enter. So void on trigger enter to D. We check if we collided with the shield. So we say if collision compare tag is shield. So if collided with the shield, then game manager. Well, first let's attach the sword to the shield. So we say transform parent equal um, yeah, collision transform. So the parent of the sword will be now the shield. That's what this is. Then we decrease the number of swords by one. But you see, it doesn't work because we made that private in the game manager. So this needs to be public here. So that minus minus, so that means decrease one. And then we re-enable the controls. So game manager has controls, but you see it also is private, so you have to change that. Public. So has controls is true now, and we can throw swords now. Also, we want to get the next sword and place it in the current sword here if it's necessary. Um, yeah, so we check if there are still swords here. So we say if game manager number swords is bigger than 0. So that means if there are still swords, then what we do is we get the one at position 1 of that folder, which means it's the next sort after this one. So we'll say, but why do we do it? Let's take all of this stuff here and do it in the game manager. So let's say here void on shield collision. Let's say, let's take all of that stuff and do it here. So we don't have to type game manager every time. Just say the variables. Okay, so what we do is now we get the current sort variable and place the next sort here. So that means shield folder, not shield, sorry, sort folder. Get child, yes, get child 1, because we still have the other sort in the scene right now, but it doesn't work because this needs to be the game object, not the transform. Okay, and so we do this stuff on shield collision. So let's say here game manager on shield. It doesn't work because this needs to be public. Functions can also be private or public. So we do that on shield collision stuff, and then we have to destroy this. So wait, we do not destroy it, but in here you see uh, if it's if we still have swords, we change the current sword to the next one. But what if we reach 0? So else, and here we'll have the uh, level and stuff. Do that later. We can delete the update function because we don't use it right now. Yes, now let's create the player input. So void update. We check for spacebar. So if input get key down is key code space. In that case, we want to throw the sword, but we only want to throw if you have controls. So let's say let's first check if we have controls, and if we have controls, then we check for spacebar. And in here we just add the function that we created, throw sword. So we have this stuff that we do on collision with the shield, but we also want to do some stuff on collision with the sword. Like I'll just copy this line here, change that to sword. And if we collide with a sword, that means we have to end the level. We lost the game. So we just say game over stop here at the moment. Now we also actually let's see the UI 1 second. I want to see the UI how it is in what order these are spawned. Let's see. It is hard to tell in what order these are spawned. Let me see. Okay, I see. Okay. So when we throw a sword here, we want to disable one of those UIs, the first one there. So let's say here, well, we want to disable the image on that UI element. But if you want to do that, we have to add, we have to say using Unity engine UI here, so we can use the image. So let's say here, disable one for UI. So we have to get that from the holder of those. So let's say sort holder, UI holder, get child, transform, get child, and let's see which one we want here. Let's say you see here we have the number of swords. Let's also say the maximum amount of swords. So max sword. And here when we create that here, when we say number of swords is equal to that, let's also say max swords is equal to the number of swords. So we know the maximum amount of swords. So now here, when we want to get that UI element, we can say get child max swords minus number swords. Okay. So that will be the one that we need. So with this code here, we get the transform of that, but we want the image on that. So we have to say get component image, then we'll just disable it. So we get it, uh, but enabled is false. So again, let's look at this line of code here again. So we select the sort UI holder that will hold the UIs, the sort UIs. Then we get the child that we need, which will be maximum sorts minus the current number of sorts. So if you're at the beginning of the game, and let's say we have 5 sorts, then 5 minus 5 will be 0, which is the first one. Let's say we throw one sort, okay? We throw one sort. 5 minus 4, that's 1, so that's the next one. So this will get at the sort that we need, the child that we need. Then we say get component image because we want the image, and then we say enabled equal false, so we disable that. So now there's another issue, I think, which is this can actually be enabled. We don't need to disable this. Or actually, we do need to disable this. So here, when after we collide with the shield and we select the next sword, we also need to enable it. So we have to say current sword uh, set active true. So we have to enable it here. So right now I think we can throw swords at the shield if I'm not mistaken. Guys, please, if you have anything you want to tell me, go ahead. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, okay. Okay, I needed to go. Okay, so let's continue. Now, right now we should be able to throw those swords, but we have an error here. Let's see what that is. Lines 58. Yes, that is because we don't have the first sword inside here, I think. Yes. Let's make that public. And now we can add that in the script. So now we have the current sort here public. We can see it, and we can add our first sort to this. Try that one more time. Let's see. Okay. So we have a couple of issues here. Yes, one is here when we collide with the shield. So here on the collision with the shield, we also want to stop the velocity of this. Okay. So let's see here, private rigid body 2D, rigid body, the stop function. We'll save the component here, the variable. Okay. So now that we have the rigid body here, when we collide with that, let's also say before anything actually, let's say rigid body linear velocity equal vector to 0. So this will stop movement. Okay, let's see. Yep, it does work as you can see. It does work, but we have some issue with the UI. yes, we do have an issue with the UI here. We have an index, which, let's see, child out of bounds. So there is a problem here, yes. Yes. Um, because we do not destroy this, let's see, actually, current source holder get child 1. Why is this outside of bound? That doesn't even make sense. Yes, here we cannot see 1. So let's see. Yes, we say max sorts minus number sorts. Yeah. So let's say we're at the beginning and we have 5 sorts, right? The maximum will be 5 and number sort will be 5. So 5 minus 5, that gives us the first one. Then let's say we collide the sort with the shield, that number of sort becomes 4 now. So 5 minus 4, that's the second one in that list of children. So this now should get us the next sort. Let's see. Do we have errors? No, seems to work correctly. It does work correctly, but we do not. Yes, we have that issue again here. Interesting. Let's see. Let's look at the game manager in minimized mode. See why that happens. I'm not sure. So let's look at the source. Here we have 7. So it's 7 7 right now. I throw one, it's 6. So now it's 5, 4, 3, and now we get that error. On trigger to the line 24. So here. And then that is here. Line 71. Oh yes, that makes sense now. That makes sense. Because you see, when we collide with the shield, we transfer that sword from the holder to the shield, so we cannot say that. Um, let's see. So we did okay. So we actually need the first one in that. So here we say get child 0, and the reason is we move when we collide with the shield, we take that sword from the shield. From the sword holder and move it to the shield. So we always want the first sword in that list here. Okay, let's try it one more time. And please, guys, let me know how much time do we have. Okay, now it seems to work. Yep, that seems to work. Now there are no more swords. I press spacebar, and we cannot. Okay, so when we reach the when we um, after we throw all the swords, we want to stop the control. So let's say here, controls false equal false when we reach 0 swords. let's add some sound effects. There is also the rotation of that shield is a bit too slow at 30. So how do we do sound effects? Basically, we spawn a game object with an audio source, and after the sound is finished, we destroy that, so we don't keep it in the scene. So let's do that. Prefabs here. Let's say also sound effect. Let's say create object. Let's say shield light sound effect. But audio controller. That I mean audio source. Now we need to look for a sound effect. Also, we can add the background music as well. So let's also say background music. Background music. And your source. This one plays on awake and does loop. Check some of these. Let's add this one here. Okay, now we have background music. For the sound effect for the shield collision, I have a bunch of these. This one's pretty good. Skip this for now, just for testing purposes. Now that we have that, let's say, let's make an array of sound effects here. So let's say public one game object, the whole game object, sound effects. Make sure that this is an array. So here we spawn that sound effect when we collide. Let's say spawn sound effect. Content sound effect. Let's say 0 is the one for this. Now we spawn it at the center. Let's say vector 3 0. Quaternion identity means no rotation. Okay. Now this sound effect needs a script that will delete it from the scene once the sound is finished. So we have to create a script now for the sound effects. So call it sound effect. Okay. It's a mistake here, so I guess. Now let's add that script to the sound effect object. This will be a very simple script. We just tap it once the sound effect is finished. So we'll say audio source, with audio source component first. And then we delete it once the sound is finished. So in the update function, every frame we check if it is finished. So we say if audio source is playing, and then we put the not here. So if it's not playing, we destroy it. So destroy this game object. That's for the sound effects. Now we have the sound effect with the file and the script, and we just need to place it in the game manager. Okay? Now we have background music and we have that sound effect. Let's replay the scene. But there is an issue with the UI, I think.
Hey, I'm having a small issue, if
Yes,
it's
sir.
possible.
Yes.
My camera, when I think I didn't like most of the things right, but when I tried to go onto the play, my camera is like so zoomed out that the scale of my screen just looks so much smaller. Like it's like the screen looks like a tiny little dot.
I see. You can modify the zoom of the camera here. You see where it says size. This is where that's the zoom in. You see.
Okay.
So that's you can change that. I think. Um, yeah, I'm having some trouble with the UI. It does not disappear. Let's see why that is. Should should be disabled. Yes, that doesn't work for some reason. Let's look at that one more time. I don't know.
And I can't change the camera's size for some reason. Where did you say I could change it?
If you want, you can share screen. But can we discuss after I finish this?
Of course.
Okay. Um, for some reason, this does not get disabled. I'm not sure why. So if let's say we have 5 slots, 5 minus 5, 0, that should work here. I say image enable this source. Why doesn't that work? Let's look at the prefab. It does have an image. Um, I'm confused why is this a problem? Both have an image. Maybe I select this. Oh, I see. I'm stupid. Okay, I see. Yeah, the issue is this is not a correct object. We need to get the child of the child. So after I get this, I have to say get child 0. Okay, that was the issue. I I was disabling the wrong image. So now let's see. Yep, we have the UI as well. You can see those getting disabled. Okay. Uh, Now when we reach 0 source, we also want to have some visual effect that will destroy the shield and the source and then move to the next level. So we need to find an effect first for that. Also, an effect when we hit the shield would be nice, a visual effect. See if we have that in here somewhere. Shine, flash, yes, flash. Move to the world space first. No, not this one. No, okay, it's not good. Sparkle, what is this? Casual does have sound effects. Prefabs. Let's see, ice impacts. Let's look for impacts. Nope. This is acceptable. Just looking for an effect when we hit the shield. Yes, we also need this magic. Yeah. Let's see. Right now it's in the incorrect layer because this particle system behave as a sprite. Right now they're not in the correct layer. Yes, those are 0. This needs to be on top of everything, so something like 3. Let's probably make this 3. If I replay that, should be on. Yeah, now it's visible. We need that for the effect at the end of the level. Now I need an effect for uh, when the shield gets hit. Yeah, see. I think that's nice. That's actually very nice. We'll use that. So now that we have these two effects that I downloaded from the asset store, first thing we want to do is get these and unpack the prefab. So now these are no longer prefabs. Now we can rename it. Let's say this is just call it magic proof. And then the other one, uh, one hit shield. Okay. Let's save these two as visual effects here in our prefabs folder. Okay. Now the hit effect, we want to save that in the game manager here. So let's say effects, public game object. Effects, let's say. And on collision here, we also spawn the visual effects. But we do where do we spawn it? That's the question. I think we actually should do it in the sort script at the exact point of the collision, but I don't know if we can get that. Let's see. Let's see if we can get that point. Hit? No, we cannot get that, unfortunately. So in that case, if we cannot get the exact point, we have to create it ourselves. We have to go to the sort here and create a transforms at the end of the sort, and then we'll spawn the effect there. Because with collisions that are not physics based, you cannot see the exact point of collision. So we have to go to this. Let's say make a child. So empty. We call that sort. Okay, let's see where that is right now. Place that at the end here. Okay. And now in the script we want to save that. So here let's say private transform and of sort. Okay. And at the beginning we say that is equal transform get child 0. Now we need to create those create an array of effects. So game object visual effect. Now that we have that on collision here, we spawn that at the end of the sort. So let's say visual effect. Visual effects. The first one at the end of the sword. So end of the sword position. Union identity. So that means no rotation. 0, 0, 0 the rotation. Okay. Also, why don't we have the shield in the game manager as well? Let's do that as well here. Public transform shield transform shield transform. Okay, so we need to add the visual effect first. Now let's duplicate that sword a little bit, and let's test. Also, on collision with the sword, if a sword touches another sword, we use the game. Yeah, that's decent. Now collision with the swords here. Let's see, we have let's say let's do the stuff when we finish the level first. So you have the shield. We can get it with code, the shield. You can say shield transform equal game object find with tag shield. That will get that object, and we want the transform of that. So don't have to place it each time the inspector. We have visual effects. When the game finishes, we want to this. And also, I'm looking at this. I'd like the shield to have a visual effect as well. So let's do that for the shield. Let's have a visual effect for the shield as well. Okay, so we'll do that by script. We'll create a coroutine. Coroutines are used for processes that take time. In a coroutine, you have to wait some time, either a frame or some seconds, otherwise you'll get an error. So let's call it on hit animation. I'll just copy some code from my desktop here. I don't know it. I don't remember it. Okay, so what we want is to change the size of that shield from big to a smaller, from the default size to a smaller size, and then back to the default size. Also, the transparency, I want to modify that as well. So we need a couple of things here. One is start scale. So the scale of the object right now. So we'll just save that from the transform. That's the first thing that we need. Then we need the end scale. End scale equal, or let's call it small scale. That will be the start scale. Let's say minus, let's say 15%. So that's 15 divided by 100. So what this is basically is the start scale minus 15%. So we take 15% and multiply it with the start scale. So it subtract 15% from the start scale, basically. Let's put some parentheses just to be sure that this is in the correct order. Okay, those are for the scale, but now for the color, we have a start color, but um, we don't want to modify the whole color, just the transparency. So we'll say float start alpha, because that's the transparency. The color is called alpha. So it's 1 by default, and then let's say we'll say small alpha, 0.8, so 20% less than that. So if you want, I can explain how this for here works. Let me know if you want me to explain that.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so what this is, it's a bit of a different for here, because usually you have an integer, and you basically repeat a process from a certain amount of time of times. But here we count time here. It's a float from 0 to 1, and you see each time we go through this loop, we add the time difference between frames. So that means in other words that we count time. So if you just consider this part here, that means we go from 0 to 1. So that's 1 second, just like this. But here we see you see we divide it by a certain amount, so that it will last how many seconds we want. So if I say here float duration, let's say it's 1 second. I don't know, or this should be faster actually, 0.5. So now if I divide here the time difference with 0.5, then now this will last 0.5 seconds. So with this we can control how long this lasts. But let's see the complicated part now. We want to do this 2 times. So first we go from the default scale to the small scale, and then from small to the start scale again. So let's do that first. So transform local scale equal new vector 3. And now for the x, we say matflip start scale, and then small scale, and then t. And I'll explain what this is in a second. So we do that for the x and the y, because the z doesn't matter. So the z we can keep it. We can say transform, but just one doesn't really matter. The z. So how does this work? Okay, we basically what this is matflip is you select a value between a starting point and an ending point by using this third parameter here, this t. So if this t here is 0, then we're at the start value. If this t is 1, then we're at the end value. If it is somewhere between that, then we are somewhere between. So for example, if it's 0.5, then we're exactly at the middle between these 2 points. So that's why this t here in the for loop goes from 0 to 1, because we need this to go from starting value to an ending value here. So 0 represents the starting point and 1 represents the end point. So we do that for x and the y. So we go from in this case from a big scale to a small scale. That's what we do. That's for the scale, and now for the color, for the transparency. But for that we need to save the sprite renderer of the shield. So we have to use the void start function. So the sprite renderer, it will get component, the sprite renderer. Right. Okay, so now we can go here and say sprite renderer color equal new color, and we do the same thing that we did here, but only for the alpha. We maintain the colors. So that means we say sprite renderer color red, green, and blue. And for the alpha, you use the matflip function like we did for the scale. But this time we go from the start alpha to the small alpha. Oh wait, I copied that incorrectly. So from the start to small, that's for the color. So with this, we go from the start scale to the small scale, and from the completely visible to slightly less visible. Now we have to go back to the initial values. But I made a mistake here. What is this like? Yeah, I don't know what that was. Now we go back to the default values. So the same code, but in here we change this matflip. We say from the small scale to the start scale here. Okay, and same for the color. So we switch those values. Okay, so that's our animation, but we have one issue, and that is what if we start this while it is already running? That could be an issue. So for that we'll say um, we have to save the coroutine. Okay, so we have a variable for that, and when we start that coroutine, we'll have a function. So let's say public void start. Then we'll say that on hit animation. So here, if it is already running, we have to stop it. So we'll say coroutine, that coroutine. So stop coroutine, and then that coroutine. If it exists, if there is something in that variable, so we check first if that is different than null. So if there is a coroutine running, then we stop it. Uh, and after that we can start it. So start coroutine. Now we go. So first we check if the coroutine is running, and if it is, we stop it, and then we start it. Only after that we start. And now on collision, so we go back to the sort. On collision with the shield, we want to start that animation. So let's see here at the end. Collision um, get component shield start that hit animation. Now we should have an animation for that, and we can modify the values, the speed and the scale and the transparency. Let's see if it works first. And by modifying the scale of the shield, that will affect the sort as well, I think. Let's see. Yeah, you see, but the issue is it's too slow. That's one issue. Also, the background music is a bit loud. So let's see here. Where's the background music? Turn down a little bit. Also, the on heat effect here is a bit too big. So let's say slightly smaller. Okay, that's for. Oh, wait, I clicked something. Is the duration of that animation here in the shield. Let's try something like 10% of a second. Yes, so there are a couple of things that need to be modified. So let's increase the speed even more here. And then the transparency seems to be okay. Seems to be okay. Just increase it slightly. And then for the scale here, the scale is too small. Let's try 7, not 7. Yes, 7 or 8. Let's try 8% less. Now it is playable, but we have to create the ability to transition between levels. Yep, that works pretty well. Okay, but if we reach the end of the level, if we finish the level here at the end, we need to have a visual effect destroy those the shield and the swords, and then transition to the next level. So how do we do that? Let's have a coroutine because we want to wait some time when we transition. So let's say on finish level. So what we want to do is destroy the shield and the sword and spawn those visual effects on both the shield and the sword. So we have to say um, yes. So for integer 0 to the how many child that shield has. So shield transform child count, because those are all the swords are right now children of the shield. For each one we spawn, but we also have a float here. Um, we want to wait at some time between each sword is destroyed. So let's say pause time 0.2, let's say, or 1. So here we destroy the swords and spawn visual effects. So first, because we want to spawn this effect of the sword, we cannot destroy it first. We have to spawn the effect first because we need the position of that sword. So here we have visual effects. That's the array of effects that we have. Let's say it's 0, the one that we need, and then we spawn this at that child. So shield transform get child I, and then no rotation, and then we can destroy the sword. So destroy that child. So that child. So now we just destroyed the swords, but let's wait some time between those. So yield return, new wait for second, wait for seconds, and then the pause time that we created. So we destroyed the swords. Now it's time to destroy the shield. So at the end we just say so we spawn the sound effect at the shield position. Okay, and then destroy the shield as well. So destroy the shield. And then we can wait some time and transition to the next level. So let's say yield new, wait for seconds, say 1 second. Then we transition to the next level. So we have to say engine scene management here on the top, so we can then use the load scene function. So when we reach the end of the level, we start this coroutine. And here at the end we transition. So we see scene manager. Actually, we do it only if we are not at the last level. So we have to say we have to check. We have to say if level is smaller than the max level, then we have to create that max level. Public max level. So if it's smaller than the maximum level, we can transition to the next level. So we say scene manager, load scene, then we say level plus, and then we have the index there. So level +1, +1, and then to string. So we convert that to string. And this will take us to the next level. Right now there is no next next level. So I'll just duplicate this one and call it level 2 so that we can see if the code works. So let's say here this is level 1, then we duplicate it. This is level 2. Level. Now a couple of things. Make sure that the maximum level here is 2, and same for the other scene. So this is level 2. Okay, now let's go back to level 1 and see if this works. Oh, I forgot. We have to add the visual effect here. I forgot to do that. So magic poof. Unfortunately, at the moment I don't have a sound effect for that. We'll have to add that later. Let's see. Yep. But it does not work. The reason is you have to have, if you load the scene, that needs to be in the build settings. So file, build profile here. You have to go back to scene 2 and then add that here. Otherwise it will not. Try that one more time. Let's see. Yep, works correctly. But what we want to do is we want to maintain the background music between scenes, so that way it doesn't reset when we load another scene. So let's save that in our prefabs as a let's save it as a prefab. Delete it from the scene, from both scenes actually, the level 2 as well. And at the beginning of the game, we want to spawn the background music if it is not already in the scene. So how do we do that? So let's say here public game object background music prefab. So we have the prefab, and also actually that's it. That's the background music prefab. And now we want to spawn if it is not already in the scene. So how do we do that? First, we want to check if it is in the scene. So what we do is if game object find background music, if it does not find the background music, actually I'd like to see the documentation of this. Let's see, Unity game object find. I do not know if this returns true or not. I see. So we have to see if this is null or not. So here we say if that is is equal to null. So if there's if there is no background music, we spawn it. So instant it the background music prefab at vector 30, no rotation, so quaternion identity. And then we want to make, because when you spawn an object, it adds clone at the end. So what we want to say here is name equal background music. So we spawn it and change the name to background music. Now we have to add that background music to the game manager. Okay, so here let's add that prefab that we created. We have to do it in both levels. And I recommend, if you make a game like this with levels, make one level complete, make all the necessary prefabs and code, and only after you finished everything, start copying the level, so you don't have to redo a bunch of stuff in the copies. But why doesn't it have a visual effect here? Wait. Okay. Let's see. Now we should keep the background music between scenes. Let's see if it works. Oh, yes, but I made a mistake, and that is this background music must not get destroyed between scenes. So for that, we need to place a script on it. So let's do that. Let's see here. Don't destroy, let's see. Okay. This will be very simple. So let's select the background music, add that script that we created right now. And in the start function, we say don't destroy this object, and that will keep it between scenes. So don't destroy. Yes, don't destroy on load, then game object, and that will keep it in the scene. Yep, it does work. You see the music is kept between scenes, but there is an issue with the background, and I do not understand why. Yeah, there is an issue with the background. Also, why, okay, these sorts here, why are they active? These should be inactive here. Let me see that script here when we spawn a new sort. So on collision with the shield here, on shield collision. Yep, we have to disable all the other sorts. Let's try it one more time. So that way, the next sort will spawn exactly at the moment that the current sort hits the shield. Yep, that's much better. Yep. That's pretty good. And I think we'll stop soon for today because we spent almost 2 hours doing this. Um, just replace some graphics here in the second levels. I see. And then the source, I'll delete those. Change the sprite of this. See. Now we have to replace. If you do this, if we change the sprite, we have to change the collider as well. Polygon collider 2D trigger. That's it. I'll just do this and then we'll be done for today. It doesn't need to be perfect. Something like that. Something like that. Okay, let's see if it works. You guys have any questions or anything you want to tell me? Please do it now.
Not really. I worked it out. Thanks for today. Been really helpful.
Okay, I think we can continue it. There's not much left to do. Maybe I don't know. I can show you how to make a high score for each level, something like that, or main menu where you can select the level, something like that. But there's not much else left to do. Okay, so are you fit tomorrow for to continue this? Are you free by any chance tomorrow? Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Depending on the time.
Okay. Okay. I'll let you. We'll start at the same time, almost around that time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Son, do you have questions? I think he's not here. Okay. Well.
Oh no, he is. He just typed in chat.
Oh, let me see. Let me
I
see. Wait, I did not see the chat.
in the Yeah, it's the open chat like right here.
Not really. Okay, I see. Okay, guys, we'll finish this tomorrow completely, and then we'll see what we do. Thank you very much for participating. I'll see you. Bye. I see you.